Bulavinaka, Yandravinaka. It's Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. and I believe that we have gone through the programs and you people have been watching the Yahweh Brothers, who is a very effective group with their lyrics and everything, specifically composed songs. And we must thank the singers and the composers in making that happen because it's actually creating a hit for the believers and for the young people that they love the Lord. Like it gets them closer. Other than reading the Bible, they sing those lyrics and really, make sense and guide them in one form of the way or the other. So we would like to say Bulavinaka and thank you. We are back in Turaki, here in Fiji. And I believe that you're tuning in from all over the world, wherever you are, what time it is, and different day. And but still, for us in Fiji, it's Saturday, and there's a lot of things that happens on Saturday. And we have rugby. We have, in actual fact, we have the matches leading up to the Danes. We have teams that have actually traveled to the north. And we have those that are playing out here in the east. And I think last Saturday was a really, very, very busy one. And I had the boys and the men in our family that actually went out to watch the rugby. So today it's happening out there in the Northern Division. Baka mo din na opportunity vir talaga na wekanda tiko may boliko mera sarava na kyan nangito ni koa lako ni makalelewa na Subrail Park rangito chikikenda na Luvenda and singa vinaka niko vambula tiko weekenda vambula raramba weekenda na barong tiko may na ndi ni buno and baka rong tiko mikina especially so for those of you that are tuning in outside Fiji because he knows how to group the islands and saying hello to all the different islands here in Fiji. And that's one gifting that I really admire him in having. So for those of you that are tuning in, thank you for following the program. We try as much to bring something that is very practical, current, faced by families. Family is family, regardless of how high you go in the society and how much you actually gain living on this world, but you cannot avoid a family. Family, you either come out of a family, you walk into a family, or you want to stand alone, you don't want to be part of any family, but family is always there. And family, I believe it's a common a language and setup for any race, any country, any place. And that is why this program is very unique in such a way that we can talk about relevant things or talk about things that people don't really feel comfortable talking about, at home. That has culture and tradition as obstacles to certain things that we can be open to talk about, like sex, like drugs. These are the things. So it's okay, like you don't hear that. In the house to be discussed. It can come to you in the forum of education. It can come to you when you go to church or you attend a conference. Then you get to hear, this awareness on what's happening out there. But it's not a common conversation in most homes to be spoken of, to be talked about, to create the awareness. So the awareness is always outside the home and not inside the home. And that is why this program, we look forward to it because it's a breath of fresh air that you can come and talk about anything and everything through this table, and we just take whatever is ours and what is relevant, practical to you, and those that doesn't matter, that you just brush it on the side. So we would like to say thank you for joining us and thank you for being part of this program. We speak of a lot of things from relationship as husband and wife to your relationship and responsibilities or parenting to your children, and those that live in nuclear family, just a neat small family on your own, and those that live with extended family that you cannot come out of it. You grow, you were born in it and you're still in it, and you actually create your family within it. And we have different scenarios and different pictures and different practical way of living. And sometimes we can be speaking on what is more practical and relevant to nuclear family for small families, so that you can make a decision, do your own thing because you live in your own, and you're not living under somebody else's roof or whatever that you do. You have to consult somebody else, and then you have with that kind of setup, with the extended family that has everybody, and that's when the hierarchy comes, who is older. And those are the families that we try and target. So a lot of things as we speak of, maybe those that are listening in, most of you have done a better job about it, or you have more knowledge into the things that we speak about. But we come in through this program, not to say that it is the only program for family, but it's one of the programs that you can listen to and take your take. And also, if you think that works for you, and share the word. And I believe just by sharing the word, it's more contagious and practical to people that listen, because they know it happens to you. It has made those change, and then also it can happen in your life, other than just a document reading on what the conversation that we had this morning, which was very, very good. He actually attended a youth meeting last night. He went to deliver the word of God, but he had two speakers that had spoken to this group of youth, and we thank the organizers of going out of their way to bring such a program to our youth of today, because it's more, very current and very relevant. And as we were speaking of, of those issues this morning, we have, like say, we're talking about drugs. We have a lot of forums that are created to talk about the drug itself, to describe what it does, the effects of this drug. And we can talk about all these things to educate maybe the ones who haven't really tasted drugs, for them to be aware that it is there. But for those that are already in it, that doesn't make any sense. They're not even listening there,
Yeah, first of all, I take this time just to thank Turano Sakyo and also Dr. Esaroma Lendua from the University of the South Pacific, of the wonderful program. Thank you, the youth of Namukelau Zone. From Nronimbota, the fisheries quarters, right up to Wainandoi. It was a wonderful program last night.
And the organizers.
And Taltalagase and all the men that you came along in the Mukelau area, Biro area, and Wanganake, from Wanganake. A lot of men that you turn up. And I believe that we were really loaded with information from the two speakers. One from the police department, one of the assistant commissioner of police, so high ranking, and lecturer, professor, Esaroma Lendua. I take this time just to thank you too for the wonderful information that you share. But both of you, one thing that really hit me, that both of them said we can talk about drugs. We can explain the effects and the different groups.
No one has found the solution.
Yeah, but no one. Both of them said that the solution is in God. No? I mean, one of them come from Catholic. One of them come from Methodist Church. No? They both said that the solution is God, which is I believe I normally share that. That Jesus is the solution, especially when it comes to drugs, because there is no nation in the world ever tackle this problem, the drugs. And both of them, they said that the devil is using this substance to create that confusion in our mind. It's amazing how they they describe, because normally those kind of preaching is in the church. Those sharing, when you talk about the devil, is normally in the church. But this is one from the police department and one from a lecturer from the University of the South Pacific. And they both sharing. For Professor, after that we have a cup of tea, and he continued Talanoa, and he continued to share. Taltala, I hear you preaching about this, and that is the only solution. And it really challenges me, and I believe all the Taltala from all different denominations, we are challenged, that they are trying to find the solution for the drugs, which is one of the problem that the nation Fiji is facing right now. So all the leaders must come together. That the solution they were talking about, the Word of God. We need to teach the Word of God very practically to our young people, that just don't go there.
But I believe most of us, we know that it's there. We know the solution, is God, because He's the Creator who created us to be who we are. And the willpower that every individual has cannot stop them from doing what they're doing. And you need the Creator Himself who can give you the willpower, or a supreme power, more than your human power, to be able to have a say in your life, for you to make that right decision. Thank you, Chubedi. And so when you do that, I believe some people think that it's too easy to go that way, like just to trust God to do that. One, and second, they don't want to go to church. They don't want to acknowledge God. Most people say, who is God? To come and fix me. So those are the questions that so it's easy for us who believe in God because we know, okay, you grew up in it. Like I grew up in a family that you have devotion.
God all the time.
Yeah, you hear God all the time. So when I hear that He's the fix, to me it's like, okay, I just stay here. I make a decision that I just stay here because I know Him. But for those people that are tuning in, they don't know God. They've never heard about God. And if you tell them, look, God is the solution. To them, it's like, God? Who is God? So, like we always say, that this program, we try as much not to make it too godly. And because we are Christians and the values, that comes with it. Automatically, you cannot be taking drugs inside the church. Like you cannot, if maybe most of us are doing it, but you're doing it knowing that you're not supposed to. So there's always a conviction in her, telling you, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
It's something that they both mentioned, and that people know that Jesus is the answer.
Exactly.
Yeah. But to bring that to practical every day, that's the problem. That's the problem.
That's a struggle. Yeah. Well, for those of you that are tuning in, regardless of the explanation that you might have to counter that it is not the solution, then you have lecturers and you have, in the police. People in authority, and they not only just talking about God, because of their position as pastors or their position as believers, but they have the knowledge, study the effects. They're talking about something that they are very familiar with. And I believe that, like you said, one of them was actually going to another place, to speak on the same thing late in the night, which for us, it shows that there are people that have known and they're looking for solution.
One thing that I've shared last night, for this solution not to be talked about only in church, because we have that religious thing. You just come, listen, okay. But when you go out again, you leave everything in church. This kind of discussion, because I was happy, he said, I'm running to one village in Telem. 9 o'clock, the appointment is 9 o'clock at night. And for Namukela youth, that was the third session.
So it's really good because smaller groups
they are inviting. Yeah. And the way, because he has the knowledge, describing everything in detail and the effects, and showing some clips. One thing that is very interesting to the young people, because he threw up a lot of clips. Not only that, and some videos. Not only that, not only overseas. He took took pictures in McDonald's. He took pictures in Suva, in Nandi. So it's something that we cannot hide it anymore. It's there, and the concern is when once it's spread, our population is very low, and our young people will be affected.
And they're very vulnerable, and also gullible. Whatever comes, they are resucio. They just want to taste it. They want to, and then sometimes in that process they get addicted.
Yeah. That is another problem because some people will be very curious.
Yeah. How does it work?
How does it work?
What does it do?
Yeah. So that's why it's very important they show this the end result. End result. And also, what I like when they both said the solution is not here physically. Yeah. The solution is in the Word of God.
Yeah.
So
because that solution, we can say God, and then a lot of people will be tuning in today. They will say, like what I said, they don't believe in God. They've never heard about God, and why God has to be part of this solution. Why we mention that? Because we believe as Christians that God created us. We believe that. In the world, like scientifically, they believe in that evolution, that we, came that way. So if you have to talk to these atheists and people who don't believe in God, they'll go back to the sense that, no, we didn't come from God. He didn't create us. We came from these monkeys or apes or, there's a lot of explanation to it just for them to combat or counter the fact that the solution is very easy. It's there. and the knowledge to know that there is God and He exists.
And one thing that it's a plus that we know the solution, because the people that they are explaining, they are not taltala.
Yeah.
They hold position in the society, and they've done their research.
Yeah.
And there's no solution to what we are talking about. You can put them to hospital or to the cell, and you inject them with medicine just to keep them low, not taking away the problem, because it's something to do with your decision making. You are hearing voice, you are seeing things that are not normal. So it's a problem of your mind.
The effects.
Yeah. So there is no solution at the moment to deal with a problem in your mind. So it's something that happens in your brain.
Yeah, and it goes back to the fact that a lot of people who have come and spoken to the forums or the church, they mentioned the same on the increase on mental
health.
Yeah, mental health. And mental health, we think or we thought that you reach a certain age and then that affects you. But to the last conference that we've had in Lotoka, when we hear speakers coming in, it's really, it's even affecting the children. There's mental health in primary school level, and those are contributing factors, because when you take that, it leads you to another thing.
One thing that I really like because there's a lot of parents who were standing by the road, and from the Assistant Commissioner of Police, he was explaining that he diverted a little bit. He said one of the problem of disobedient and rebellious children today, it comes from a video game, because they watch and they always want to win. When they want to win, there are a lot of games of kicking and punching and shooting. So all those things, it's something that they intake into their brain. So when their parents call, the way that he was explaining, when their parents call out, because they were into it, they want to finish, their enemy. Slowly, they are intaking the spirit of fighting, the spirit of killing in their mind. And to me, that's something that...
this is a lot of things involved. Like what you said or mentioned earlier, even though the fix is God, I believe there's a lot of things that we need to do and correct.
Yeah.
We need to correct the way that we parent our children, correct the way that we raise our children, there's a lot of correction that needs to be done. But to even do this correction, it's a process in itself. And other than just the simplicity of trusting God to do it. Because when we trust God and we believe in God to be the solution, it doesn't mean that you just pray and ask God to come and fix you and you don't have anything to do. No, it's a process. So it's a lot of things at stake. And I believe the forum that we've had, the forum that has been created by the government, by the other organizations, the church, they need to be more practical in the way that they approach it, not just to come together and talk about the effects. Yeah, those are fact finding, and those are statistics that we can make reference to when we teach. But we need to spend more time in talking about on how to correct it, how to take it back to the church level. Like what he said, these are the two. They are not pastors. One is a professor from the university and one is a higher position in the police department. So they have access to this information. And if, say, for our family, if I come and say, okay, there goes Nana again. I'm speaking of the same thing. If I'm telling my grandchildren, okay, make sure you don't take drugs. Because when you do, this is what happened to you. And to them, at the end of the day, that's Nana. Because Nana talks about a lot of things and Nana always scolds us for a lot of things. And, that the recipient, like they take it because of the speaker. But if they hear the same thing from school, and the same people are invited to the school to speak on the same thing, I believe when they come out, like that makes a different impact in their lives other than Nana saying it. They hear somebody else saying it with that position they look up to, and everybody have no choice but to listen. Yeah. And then it becomes a forum like create between them, their friends, because all of them have heard the same information.
And create the interest for them to, it's somebody else speaking.
And then they come into church and then you hear, somebody else come and talk to them in that forum. So the more awareness that we can create that works, I believe, it's very important, and not only targeting our youth, not only targeting the people that are takers and users, but also there should be forums and workshops and training done for parents, for guardians, or because we need to learn and know how to fix these things, how we can help, because we need to know what to do for those that are already taking it and they're inside your house. You know, how to counter, how to look after it, other than
it comes back to parenting, it comes back to family, because according to the figures, facts and figures, it happens a lot from children that they come from broken homes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But if you have a home, it doesn't mean that you will not be affected by this, because they go to school, they go to sports, they mingle in community. So it's something that is out there that everybody must aware. Yeah. So it backs to family, the parenting, the young couple, how to look after their home.
And the missing parents.
Yeah, the together.
Yeah.
People are going out to work long hours, and people going overseas. So those missing link, that's where this all the problem in a family start to come in.
Yeah.
And that's why Family Table Talk is one of those forums that we can talk about
these things.
The importance of family, the importance of our time, the importance of timing together, doing things together, even shopping together, going out to the park together, or even going watch sports, all watch it together. Going to the market.
That's one thing that I have to learn, to go and watch my grandsons play.
Because when we do things together, all this outside influence will struggle to come in. Even sometimes, of tumandang television, nandang dabi tumanda, vital noa sa ocha ke memakatundu takabay, na tumanda na serie.
Yeah, like, and now the screen is there. Like for me, like to get things off my mind, I'm flipping through the channel, from news to whatever that I can watch. But before, I remember the days when we used to sit with our children with a guitar, and we talk about anything and everything, and then you cry, and then you laugh together. And sometimes we even talk until 6 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes we're still awake and the children are getting ready to go to school again. Those moments. The moments of just talking about anything and just having those open forums, those moments. And not only we have it with our children, we used to have our own until 3 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of things to talk about, and and this phone has actually interfered. It's either you carrying your office with you, regardless of the furthest country you travel in the world, your office travels with you, because it's either your phone or iPad or your laptop, because you're taking it with you, and that access never used to be there before.
It's just a way that we first of all we see the problem, and we start to correct a little bit, and we can't just drop it, because we are used to this lifestyle, from this staying together, talking and laughing as a couple or as a family, and now the phones start to come in. Before only dad and mom have a phone, but now all the children are having their phone, so they can be sitting in a living room for 2-3 hours, nobody talking, because they are talking to their phone, either their work, their games, or the news. Even for me, sometimes I'll just be sitting there reading my Bible, doing my Bible. Before, when the Bible is on the shelf, I have to go and bring the Bible and then read the Bible, because it's big, and then after that you feel out because everybody talking and you're trying to read the Bible and you put it there. But with the phone, just flick up and down, and most of the time I heard a conversation, most of the leadership with Chokatamandio on Monday. Most of them, they asked them this question. Most of them, the leaders that have been interviewed, they try not to bring their work into their home. Most of them that are here, their work remains in their workplace. Because the moment you bring your work, whatever you do, into your home, you are giving also a doorway to the members of a family to also do their own, and the home becomes a house, a place of
a transition place of people coming in. And I used to be a very was example of that. I used to take files and everything back home. So even when you arrive home, see that everything is done. They have their dinner, and then you sit on the same table and do your work. And I think for a few years now, you bring the file, you bring it back the next morning. I don't really go and work, but the little work that I do is to check anything urgent on the phone. And still now, I try to take files, but I'm still bringing it back, which I felt that I've improved from the person that I was, like what you said, and that feeling of finishing your work, like you have to control it. That takes another willpower for you to say to yourself, no, enough.
Because
I will just do the work will never end.
The work will never end. We can change the player, but the work will always be there.
Because I used to have, it's a good habit for work, but it's a bad habit for family. I used to have this habit, like I cannot leave my desk cluttered. I cannot leave my desk with the work not finished and not done. That used to be my biggest problem. And I'll always leave the office when I know it's done. And it's been like that for years. And that is why, like when I was working at the Pacific Hangar then, I work until midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I will not leave until that last letter of complaint is handled, because I was handling the complaints. And all those things, like it's just the way I am. And maybe some people can relate to that. Now I'm training myself. I think I can say that I've achieved something in the sense from my angle. For the last 2 years, that I just leave my office. I can't leave my office with paper, all over my desk. I have to make sure that this paper, okay, that goes into the pending. I have to organize it, and then I will leave. But recently, I just look at the time, because it's a wall clock right opposite me. I just look at the time. That's it. I leave things as it is. I just off my computer, pick up my bag, and go out. And sometimes people in the office, they will call again. Are you still here, or you've gone? And said, I'm gone. That's it. Because if I have to go through the process of, clearing your table, saying your goodbye, through the goodbye, I see you tomorrow. It's like, can you do this? Can you sign this? Oh, I'm waiting for this. And that's another half an hour, 1 hour process. So I've learned, like you just have to find what works and what is more practical for you to be able to tell yourself, okay, my work ends here, and this is what I do. And I actually want to ask the director for the company that I work for, if I can work from home at least one day in a week. I asked that in the beginning of this year. I think so far I've never achieved the desire of just working from home 1 day in a week. And I can do other things, like I can be on the phone, I can be on email, but to work from home. So I requested for that 1 day to work from home, so I can spend more time with my grandchildren that do not go to school, have time with him, or those that are around him. So yesterday was one of those days that I asked I work from home. It was a good day because it started with the family just having breakfast together, and we actually wearing the and I know they are tuning in today. Today we are celebrating the brother and sister's birthday, and thank you. Nate, my daughter-in-law, for designing this T-shirt for the family, and thank you for that initiative. And I like the wording at the back. I really like it. The wordings at the back, just thanking the lives of these two children and acknowledging God for the blessings in having these two children. So they are actually brother and sister, and that's Sonny, which we call Elijah, and Leikayla. Leikayla turns 4. On the 29th of July, while Sonny turned 11 on the 10th of July. So he had actually had his birthday already. We had dinner for the family, but we are just combining them to celebrate it today. And it's going to be from 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just a short one in the afternoon, for their friends just to come together and have their family to come in and join them to celebrate their life. One is 4 and one is 11. And we actually wearing their T-shirts today, the design today. Beautiful children. And I think Elijah and Nati, you are blessed with your children. They are beautiful. And this morning, very early in the morning, I could hear her footsteps from their room. And then she entered my room. She said, okay, where's everybody? Everybody's sleeping. He said, it's still very early. And on my way to come to this program, she's already dressed. And she said, Nana, I'm ready. And I said, oh, you're not going with me. You have to go back to your mommy and daddy. We'll meet later. The birthday is at 1 o'clock. She's already up and about. And her excitement, I believe her best birthday she can ever have is to have her brother and also her two cousins, my daughter's two beautiful girls, Hadassah and Samsara. Those are like jewels to Lekela. If you say, Hadassah and Samsara is coming, or when she sees them, why she feels so elated, so happy, jumping up and down, just seeing her cousins. So today will be a celebration for our family that we just come together, sit down, and have hot dogs and burgers, and just watch our children enjoy today in the afternoon. So those kind of gathering, like, it's sort of like you get the, like you give them the attention that they deserve, and like you just stand back. It's not a church meeting. It's not a family get together. It's the children. So like just have them enjoy themselves.
Like when we were sharing, in our tradition, in our culture. If somebody celebrates their first birthday right up to sweet 16, the whole clan will come, and the food that is prepared is for the adults. Make one lobo. But for the children, 1, 2, 3, 4 year old, that does not mean anything. But when you have McDonald's or you come together to a park, that means a lot to them. Because the celebration is tailor-made to their age. But for us, this is why parenting is very, very important. When we celebrate 4-year-old and son 11, for them, when all the tutus and the boo-boo sit around and they celebrating, gathering, to them, it doesn't make it. And then they go and doon ay suluma sila, doon ang ato, may kata-kata tuyani. It doesn't mean anything to them. But if they have their friends and
give them a few
games here, they have a quiz,
quiz.
All those small games to them means a lot.
They have fun.
That's why parenting is very important. And we were not taught with parenting. So all these things are some initiative. So we can put together a program relevant for the age of our children. And they will remember, they will love swimming in the pool, going to the beach, or maybe to a park, or maybe to a hall, and all the games and all their children are more important. With the 2-3 hours, it's all about them.
Maybe parents that are tuning in today will say, okay, like they talk about those things because they can, do that, or they can organize that. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a little volume of it. Like, what's more practical? Ramadan na koro ni dakando na gito. Rada ka na music chair. Butako sui. Elemen na gito daro ni dakaw, Se bakataw na ba kinibula rabolibol. So na gito daro ni dakaw. Meron nga ni ramarotaka na koe nono chuko na singi sudo pati kina no na tambay.
Bali ko ya. Nakadakati ko ya ko ya. So na una ni ra takatiko na kaya baka bibita nga weekend nakaka naman da nga baka bibita nga weekend yan ni takawaya hot dogs totok sa tuwera dumanda ka na munsid musu na totok sa tuwera kaya takato na kaya na game sila laya I think it changed the meaning of the party when we say birthday party. It's about them, not about the adults.
Well, happy birthday to Sunny, who we call, and his name is actually Cherenate Elijah Vostayado Vulaono. He's actually named between the parents and Gasilevu. And we have Lekela Katie Miracle Vulaono. Miracle is another story on how she miraculously was born without the disease that was detected earlier in her mom's womb. And that's where the miracle comes in. And the KD is actually the name combined together of her maternal grandparents. Colinio is the grandfather's name, and Auntie Diama is the grandmother's name. So they combine the two to be KD, and that's the name, the middle name that she's got. It's a combination of both maternal grandparents. And Lekela is the Hawaii name for Racheli. She's actually named after her paternal grandmother, so her nana. So she's my little Yada, and in most ways, I see she's just her small little Yada, my small little Yada. Very bossy, very direct, and she doesn't mince her words, and she says it as it is. And sometimes I look at her and I said, okay, I see myself in this little girl running around. And never scared of anything. Like I've shared stories about this little girl of mine, the very youngest granddaughter of ours. And when we travel, we've traveled to New Zealand quite a few times, to Christchurch and to Auckland. And at the airport, she doesn't refrain herself looking at these adults and European there. And we just have to be careful. As most of the time, when we're looking for, she's either talking to this couple or sitting with this couple, talking away. And I said, somebody will take you away. Keep still here, because she doesn't, she doesn't hold back or fear the fact that she doesn't even know them. She'll go and say, my name is Lekila. Even when we went and we had a little break at the Tabor Club Lounge here at the airport, I think you can remember that morning. We were, seated there, and she was with her parents. And there's a small, thank you, Tabor, Fiji Airways. That Tabor Lounge is very beautiful. You even include the children's playroom. Nice. So she was in the playroom. The last I saw her, because when I went to the washroom, I saw her in the playroom. So I came back and I said, okay, she's playing with, some children out there. And we were seated like anybody who will leave the lounge to go out will go past us, because we were seated there. And after a while, then I told my, my husband, is that her? I can hear her voice. And there was this elderly European couple that was behind us, seated, just across from us. I can hear her voice. So when I look out, it was actually her. And I was looking at her, and I'm trying to look at this too. I stood up and I said, and I'm very sorry, to apologize the fact that she just came and created this conversation. She came and said, hi, hello, my name is Lekela. I'm going to New Zealand, and I'm going with my nana, my pa, with my mommy and my daddy. So I'm trying to look at them to say, I'm very sorry. Like not only she's invading into their privacy, she just come out from nowhere and start talking to this couple. And as I stood here waiting and trying to signal to her to stop, the lady actually looked and said, don't worry, we have our grandchildren. How old is she? And said, she's 3. And she said, I have grandchildren of her age, but she's very talkative. And I said, I can hear her voice from where we're sitting. And I would like to apologize, sorry, that she's, invading into privacy. I said, no, not at all. We are really interested. So they start, talking. And I have to stand there and wait for their conversation to finish. And you're talking about a 3-year-old. So, like Kayla, happy birthday. And I always tell her, with all your, confidence and thing that you do. Like last night, we had our devotion, and we were having Bible verses for all of us. So, and to end with her, she was actually seated there, and my eldest grandson, Joshua, was standing and said, Joshua, we'll start with you, with your Bible verse, and we'll end with Lekela. So just by saying that, and just as I finished, she spoke up her Bible verse, James 4:10. Humble yourself before the Lord, and He will lift you up. So we all look at each other and said, okay, right. We just mentioned for you to end it, but you want to start it, so we have to change the forum. Yeah, that's her. And I say that I'm really blessed with my grandchildren. I have 7 grandchildren, and I'm really, really blessed with them. I try as much, regardless of how busy I am, to allocate time for them. So yesterday was a good time for Joshua, the eldest one, and for Lekela and Israel, because they have their parents' interview yesterday. So I spent some time with them. And the other time, last Saturday like this, I had a little tiff with my other one, who is in the Northern Division today, playing for his school on the under 18. I try as much to allocate my time amongst my children, and not only then my grandchildren, and to the friends that are actually living with us, Joshua's friends, for Carlos, and as well as Junior. So, just those family time for me, it helped me stay grounded, regardless how busy you are or whatever that you're doing. When you have their presence all the time, it reminds you of your responsibility. Yeah. And as much as possible, as you say that you were busy, like going this way, but you're reminded to step back and, look back and allow them to walk with you in every, elements and every aspect.
Yeah, because our children and even our grandchildren, the time is just ticking very fast.
Yeah.
The time with them.
Yes.
Suddenly you notice that they are out of primary school.
Yeah.
And then, like for Joshua, And then last year we realized he's in year 13 and will be out of secondary school. The time just fly. So when we don't spend the time with our family members, we don't realize how much we missed.
Yeah.
And because of those absent parents, there are other friends and neighbors. They can become the parents to them.
Yeah.
Introducing things that they're not supposed to have.
Yeah.
Because the parents are not.
So they get their knowledge and everything from the outside other than from the inside of their home. And that is why, like last time as we spoke about it, we actually picked this up. We can have complete family with the parents staying together, but we don't, because of their work and the church and involving the community, it takes them away from this, take away their presence, physical presence from this forum, from this family. And most times, like, we lack the ability to be the voice, to talk to them so they can hear you. And when they do hear you and what you think and what you are counseling them for, when they hear their friends or they are exposed to any other information, at least they have something that can challenge the things that they're hearing outside the home. But when they don't hear anything from home, they are vulnerable to grab that whatever they hear is the truth. So they just take that, and it can be taking drugs, it can be sex, it can be anything else. And they take that is life because they have never heard from home. You're not allowed to do that.
Even their day-to-day character.
Yeah.
Because the people they are with also contribute to the character that they will carry.
Yeah.
And if they are exposed to all this bullying, fighting, grouping, swearing, gossiping, and all these things become part of their life, even though not taught from home. But because there's no teaching from home, there's no presence of parents from home, so they start to go into this kind of lifestyle that's totally different from home.
Upbringing.
Even though their parents will say, oh, we provide shelter, we provide house, we provide finance. But the growing up, the nurturing,
the molding of their character.
The molding, all these things is missing out. And while they are growing from level to level, they start to engage and they start to copy from their friends. And that's why it's very important, the family time together, the devotion together.
And that's one thing that I'm really nailing it to the grandchildren. Like we have had our devotion this week, and one thing that I continue to remind them, the fact that you must, and this goes for the children, for the youth, and this is what I tell my grandchildren. It may work for you, it may not, but one thing that I'm really pushing them, the priorities of their life. I'm telling them, other than them making it their own decision and thinking out themselves. And I've left them to do that, for so long. For this time around, when I see things that are happening and I'm reminding them and I hear and I read the stories and you hear the news of things happening to other children of their same age, I'm beginning to make the decision to tell them to believe that and to work with that. So practically, what I share with them, like, try and have in your mind, in your heart, the priorities. Like,
God.
You believe God. You live in this house, you believe God. We teach you about God. You go to church. You know that there is an existence of a supreme power of God. And you cannot deny that, because if I'm not with you, if I'm not physically there, if you're not physically with the family, there is a God that creates you. It's always with you. So whenever you get into trouble, He will help you. Whenever you are indecisive or you are confused, He will help you. So I teach them with their connection and their values in life to know and trust God. So I remind them the priority in your life must be God, because your nana, your pa, your family cannot be with you all the time. They cannot fix you. They cannot be the helper that you need. But God, He will be with you. And that's one thing that I push them to believe. And have God as a priority. And second, you must have your family. You must have your family in your mind, in your heart. Have your family in your heart. Because when you have your family in your heart, when you're being exposed or being tempted to do other things, the first thing that challenges you, what will my God think? Because you don't see God, you can easily betray Him. But when you feel your family, because you'll go back to your family, you will be challenged to think, if I do this thing, what will happen to my family? Because I love my family. If I do this thing, I love my mom. What will happen to my mom? Will she be happy? So those are the questions that you begin to ask yourself, and which I try to remind them. Before you do anything, think of your family. That becomes the second in your life. Third is your friends. Don't get me wrong. I always tell them, don't get me wrong for you to think that I don't like your friends. No, I like your friends. And even for Joshua, I look after his friends. They stay with us for years. And until today, they're still there. I just said, I love your friends. I like your friends. But whatever they bring to the table to your life, whatever they say to your life, you should not take that as a thing to, to follow, or it's supreme over and above the things that you hear from home, from your family and God. Because when you are able to, have that priorities in your life, it defines what you do. And not only for the children, this goes for couple as well. Because kaya kimrobi watini kung gayo lomana din na namuklo o kaya kusing mandagan nilotu lomana no mumata pumale ni kusa lomana no mumata pumale o lomana no watimo iko dala kama go rivira na boni turang se rivira boni marama iko na sila kama no baka sama na la seitumba ina sila kama no baka sama na biwali na kaiko da kabatiko baletiko iko kila na kaiko da kaba ena ba mabotaka na the person that you love. The person that you love. Kebala iko kila na kai na the cover na Moses e maboa viko iko kila sa tiko ilomamo ni kondo bona se kolomana. And when you bring that to your heart and your life, wherever you go, that trust is always between you two, regardless. You can be staying in two different countries, furthest, but be that trust because you love your wife, or you love your husband, or you love your children, and you love your family. They become the defining factor for you. Wherever you go, they are always with you, even though you're physically there on your own. But it's like you're carrying your family with you, because in your heart, you have your family. And it will stop you from when they ranka, whatever that you do, to hurt the very family that you love. But when you don't have your family in your heart, when you don't have that priority in your life, then you do whatever you're doing. You are doing exactly what you're doing, because you're only reminded you have a family when you come back home and say, okay, where's mommy? Where are the children? Oh, where's daddy? Because when you reach home, then you realize, okay, I have a family. But when you're out there, you don't have a family because it's not in your heart. And that's one thing that I continuously remind my grandchildren. That levels of reminders. And because wherever you go, you will be convicted. You will be reminded. Because I had this conversation with one of my grandson last week. After the games, he just decided to go. Just a phone call to my daughter or to his aunt. And her phone went off. Because my grandchildren, I always give them this directive. Wherever you go, before you do anything, you must get approval from home. You must tell us where you are. And if you have your phone with you, I will need updates all the time to tell me where you are. Because with everything that is happening, you cannot be oblivious to the fact that you are immune and you are an exemption, that nothing will happen to you. Or because you are the son or the grandson of the pastor, nothing will happen to you. No. Children are children and everything, even us. When we go to church, or when we actually part of this ministry that we are part of, it doesn't exempt us from extramarital affairs happening in our life. There's no guarantee that that cannot happen. We are humans, and it happens. But there are ways and means that you can do to be proactive, to save your family and save your children. And it goes back to what I was trying to share. So I give that directive to my grandchildren for them to know that they cannot just up and go and do whatever they want to do.
Because of their friends.
Yeah, because of their friends. They're living in a house. They are accountable to get that, permission to be able to do that. They are not, even though the world says, when you're 18, you make your own decision, you live your own life. But you are staying in a house. You can't just make your own decision. You haven't had the ability to look after your own self, buy your own food, look after, pay for your own rent. So that independence doesn't come with the age.
That freedom comes with the responsibility.
With the responsibility.
Responsibility.
Yeah. So we had a conversation with one, like what I said, we go to church, the issues that are affecting our children and affecting the family. I always remind this in the church that we are part of. Coming to church doesn't save your marriage. Coming to church doesn't save your family. You need to be doers. You need to be doing something to save that. The church label automatically does not save you. It's you making the decision and you living that life and you making that impact. And that teaching I carry that with my grandchildren. So we had a very good conversation last Saturday because he just up and go. And and I always tell my grandchildren, I'm getting old. I'm not getting any younger to be going around looking for you. I shouldn't be doing that. You should be accountable, responsible enough to tell us where you're going. And I've heard stories about, like from parents who want their children to be prayed over because of are rebellious and disobedient. And I know children, you may get to hear this, this family table talk replayed maybe at another time, or maybe listening to us today. Lebanon ngona kenda nanu manda sa da mandona bakin bol kenda sa rinda ka na kanda da kabira na di tumutumu da mas da tikira dona report bita men dona maramo kerkero ni masay kero tondo lubengo tolu no lubengo tangane ertondo vivado ertondo itini na vemba erto vitartar do yamba ki rosangvol do yamba ki tini ka vitu and do yamba ki tini ka ba sage kana maramango sa may takali na taman rito na bulo February yo kaya wakati chuma na message na via bulo June se July sage ka kaya rendini yo kero nganda ngani masalaki na non rito bulo na lubengo na non rito do vivado Adam menangonongo sange bakando ni ngono wasa inikina sa buki mendo sa badukiao going ndo ni tumbo marama sa takali na non rito ta And these are issues that are actually happening out there. Na daba nga iko da kaba ko iko dorbo ngone la iko varro nga chugani ko. Esenga ni tukuni ni ko daba na bakini bula me sulivi ko non donu mo da kaba na tobo kokoa. Bir na no mitu butu se bir na no mo tukai se na no mo mbu. It doesn't give you that right. Maybe the world tells you that you have the right, but in the Bible, because He's the creator of the family and the creator of your good self, your goodness come by respecting and honoring your parents. Well, back to what I was saying. So I have a very good sit down with this grandson of mine. And I said, you've always had issues. So you really need to fix it. First, you need to change your attitude and look at your friends around you. That's your first check. Check your friends around you. If you know that they are bad influence or they're coming in and telling you things to do that you're not supposed to do, and you hear your parents, your grandparents, and you hear me telling you, then you should be able to make the decision for yourself. You're old enough to make the decision for yourself. And I have one last night who came in, and that's why I'm really, really blessed with this, grandson. Like, not all of them can be obedient. There's always one who's, they're not all the same. So you just have to know how to handle each and all of them. So I have one last night who came in just before our devotion to say, Nana, I will go after the devotion. I would like to let you know that my friends have invited me. We are going out for movies, and I will go and I will come back. And I said, I trust you that you will go and come back. And please just wait for us to do our devotion. And after our devotion, then we can go. And he said, yeah, it's okay. Because usually when the movie starts, they have this coming attraction and other things that are going. So the real movie, I wouldn't miss it. So even though if I'm going late, it's okay. So we had our devotion last night. And then after the devotion, we were staying around the house. And I still see him, still hanging out. And I said, you're not going. And then he said, no, my friends called. It's moved half an hour, to another time. Not the time that I told you earlier. And I said, okay, that's okay. So last night, that's one thing with me. If I have given approval for my grandchildren to leave the house, the older ones, to go and join their friends, I will not be able to sleep. I will stay there. And I know some of you parents can relate to my story. I will not be able to sleep. I will sit there and wait for them to come home. Not until they enter through the door, then it gives me peace to go and sleep. Then I will lock the door and go to sleep. And even if my children, they have their families already, if they're driving to the west or driving somewhere, or even going in the boat to go to the Northern Division, I will not sleep. I will watch news or stay up awake until they put in the comms that they've arrived. And I always remind them, if you're driving and you know that you were sleepy, don't rush. Get a power nap. Look for the next available police post. Park your car there. Let them know that you're sleeping inside. Take the rest. Because it doesn't matter if you're late. It doesn't matter if you don't arrive where you're going, as long as your life is kept. And this is one of the things. Those are my challenges that I'm bringing to the table today. And yours may be the same, or yours may be different from mine. Some of you really, really trust your children, regardless where they go. If they don't turn up a few days later, you're still good because you trust them. We have different ways of parenting. But for me, I cannot go to sleep if one member of my family is not in the house. It has to be justified where they are and what they're doing. Only then I will find rest to go to sleep. And there is us, and that's just parenting. So for those of you that are tuning in for young children, young men and young girls out there, uh, remember to, if you really love your family, that's why we're talking about these priorities. If you're not a Christian and you don't believe in God, then forget about the number one. Then bring your family up to be number one for you. For those who believe in God, make God to be your number one, then your family. But for those who do not believe in God, then make your family to be number one in your life. Because when your family is number one, you will love your mom, you will love your dad, you will love your siblings. Wherever you go, whatever decision you make, whatever that you are involved in, you will always remember your family at the back of your mind, on how they will be affected, and how you will see your mom cry when she hears this kind of news that you bring to the house. And those are little convictions and little reminders that we can take with us all the time, when it comes to the family.
And when you are out there, the young people, they must remember that somebody at home always think of them.
Yeah.
And they can go to rest or to sleep,
Yeah.
until they come home. If only the young people knows about
Yeah,
that.
and for them to call or
Yeah.
let them know.
Sometimes young people, when you enjoy with your friends, you don't realize how much the worries and the
yeah.
thinking that their parents or their
Yeah.
grandparents or their guardians at home.
And that
So
goes
it
back,
always,
and goes back to what we are trying to say. Like, if you love them, then you will be concerned to reassure them. I'm good. I'm here.
yeah. And we have a lot of things now, like mobile. You have Viber, you have text. You can call just to let your people at home that you're okay, you are coming. And a lot of missing people today, just because that there is no information to come back to their home.
Yeah.
And they'll be worried after one day. They'll go to the police and
Yeah.
and publish in the papers of a missing person.
Yeah.
Just because we are not communicating well. So for young people out there, just remember there are people that they are worried, that they look after you, that they concern about you wherever you are. Sometimes we want to hit back at our parents, or especially if you come from a family that is single parent.
Yeah.
And it'll be very easy for you to labor, not happy, because you'll see your friends in school and maybe in your community that they are given all this freedom, not with you.
Yeah.
Because you're a single parent, maybe your father or maybe your mother, or even with your grandparents.
Yes.
They will be very concerned about you all the time. So they'll put more restriction on you because they don't want you to go into a situation that you will regret, because you are not in a unique family. So just remember that, young people. If anything, that we want to encourage you, try to make them happy, do your school well. If you join a club of rugby or other games, or if you join the church, you make sure you commit yourself in the good things.
Yeah.
And because when you are idle, not doing anything, that's
scary.
where the problem comes in. You
temptation,
can say yes to anybody that comes along the way.
Because we're talking about this thing, maybe people are listening today, or children listening today, and they said, like, that's really boring. It's really boring. I used to do the same and say the same to my grandchildren, but one thing that I'm really, really become a strong advocate of it at home now, because of the things that you read in the news that happen. And this particular story really struck me in a different way, about this lady that was actually covered in the papers, sharing her story. And I know for those of you who have read it, you know what I'm talking about. There was this beautiful mother out here in Lotoka, and her daughter works at McDonald's, and it was in the news, and people have read it. I've never met the family, but I've read this story in the daily newspaper. And her daughter is of age, like 21 or 22. Her daughter is 22. And it was her day off, so she came home and asked her mom that she's going out with her friends. And her mom knows her friends. And she said it's okay. So she went out with her friends that day. And on the next day, she didn't turn up. Like she didn't turn up at home. So she assumed that she's still with the friends. So when she, and then later on, then she realized like it's getting too long and she's not at home. So, and even on the day that she's supposed to go back to work, she hasn't turned up for work. So she went back and asked the friends. And according to the friends, that she left, like she has been with them on their day off, and she had already left to come
Back to
home.
them.
And later on, when she went and asked the neighbors and like on her way to go and to try and report it to the police on a missing person, and just a few feet away from their home, according to the neighbors, there was a van, and she got into that van, and then she saw two boys or two men there, and she saw her neighbor's daughter got into that van. So, on how you see things, like you thought nothing of it, and it only becomes serious when that particular person goes missing. So the body of this young, beautiful girl that was pictured in the paper was found in Vunoto Creek, dead. And this is a story that I always relate to my grandsons. When you leave the house and you go out of the compound, what guarantee do I have that you're safe? And that is why I will always remind you, take God, because he will keep you safe. And think of your family, because you will be reminded. And I was sharing them, that young, beautiful girl, few meters away from arriving home, made the decision or forced to be, to get on to this van. And that led her to her death. And when I was sharing that, because I was sharing it in our devotion, and one night we came back from somewhere, I went with my husband and my grandson in the car. And I know you can remember that night we went to the service station. And he actually got off with him to go in, because the younger sister, the younger sister was sleeping and I had her with me, and he got off with the older brother to go and get a few things from the service station. So when they got back into the car, this van was actually parked there. There was, two vans parked there. And that was a few days ago that I shared this story with them. So as we, pulled out of this service station, my grandson at the back, who is Elijah or Sonny, he tapped me and he said, Nana, look at that van. So I look at that van, I couldn't recognize. I mean, there are a lot of vans. So I look at the van and said, yeah, you know them. And he said, no, I want to ask you, because this van, like it's panel, like the panel van, like cargo van. So like you cannot see whoever is at the back, but you can see the driver. And I said, you know them? And he said, no. Is that the kind of van that actually took that girl? And I looked at him and I said, I'm not really sure. I didn't see the van. No, the van was pictured in the papers, but I'm not really sure. But on our drive, that service station is not far from our home. On that drive back from that service station home, in my mind, in my heart, I'm reminded, whatever that I shared, this the youngest grandson of mine captured what I shared and made them aware that there are things around them that they need to be. And then, and this is what I tell them, because I organize people to pick them up from my grandson from the school that they're in. And sometimes they think, oh, no, it's old-fashioned, And sometimes they always tell me, our friends are getting in the bus. We can get in the bus. We are different in parenting. Like for me, because I'm overprotective of my grandsons. And I always tell them, now, with things that are happening, you cannot just afford to get in with anybody. You have to be careful. You have to check your facts. You have to get back to us whether it's okay. There are a lot of things out there. I'd rather be more proactive and more overprotective than waiting for something to happen and for me to come in and identify the bodies and knowing that one of those bodies might be my grandson or maybe one of my family member. And these are the conversations that we want to bring to the table. And we only have 2 minutes left, and we must thank you for being with us, talking about a lot of things at lunch and certain things that can help us benefit as a family. And today is Saturday, so whatever that you have planned today for your life and for the weekend, try and allocate a little bit of today and tomorrow for your family.
Yes.
And sit down with your family. For us, it's our Sunday. We sit down and must eat together straight after the church
Bread
service.
and tea.
But for tomorrow, as and when we have a service in the morning and a service in the afternoon, food doesn't define us. When we have 2 services that we have to attend on a Sunday, the lunch on that particular Sunday is no other than bread. So it's like loaves of bread or tea buns in the kitchen, and you DIY, do it yourself. So you come in with yourself. Okay, there's tuna there, cheese there. If you want to do your egg, go and do your own. So straight after the church service, everybody will come to the kitchen and do. And for me, at that moment, I just have a plain, long loaf with just butter, and you turn it into your tea.
It
That's
has to
just
be
good
real
enough.
butter.
It has to be real butter. So those are the things that we do together as a family. You can find ways that is more practical and ways that is more meaningful to your family. And if you really, really love your family, you will make that time and you will create that joy that your family can experience, regardless of how busy you are in your work, and regardless of how busy you are in your church, and regardless of how busy you are in the community. Whatever it takes and whatever you are involved in, always remember there is a family that loves you, and there is a family, if anything happens to you, they will be the recipient of everything, and they lost the very person that they love and look up to. So treat your family well and embrace them this weekend. I'm looking forward to the birthday today. It's like a day that you can just sit there like Tutu and Bumbu and watch these children run all over the place, and just be a Tua and a Poo. Sit and watch and take your position as grandparents.
Well, families that praise together, they will stay together.
Yes.
Have a wonderful, blessed weekend, all the families out there.
Yeah.
In Jesus.
Arnara aku kailau kai. Sergui sabotai churi kimli ken sarana manira. One wrong way with tisu ni sabolo. Ya we brother saman way. Aure sewara na wano way na wana. Owano bakatulo usaka kibitira ramba enduangana yala amai walata memula ke sarana nonda kawatamata panorawango ini seboko amula vanombo inavanonga Sewa rambo vano kivua, me bakarusa.
family is an epitome of God's love towards mankind. God designed us to live in families, and the Bible reveals that family relationships are important to Him.
But as a believer, do you feel that you are still struggling?
Maybe you're still struggling with your relationship,
Struggling with your finances?
struggling at work,
With your social life?
or with your spiritual life.
We invite you to join us
On our family table talk every Saturday,
at 7:30 a.m. on my TV.
or catch us on our Facebook page.